Hello and welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour on this fabulous November 13th, 2020. It's Friday the 13th. Did you know it's Friday the 13th? I did.
I think I just found out.
Oh, I'm your host, Andrew Barnes, along here with some awesome people. Let's drive right into introductions, and we'll start, as usual, with Brad.
Hey, everybody. Brad Tilton here. I'm a developer advocate with the developer program here at ServiceNow. I've been developing on ServiceNow for about 12 years and been an employee for the last 4.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. And returning but special guest, Jarod.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jarod Mundt. I'm a security and integration engineer at Clear Sky, Inc.
Awesome. And tell us a little more, Jarod. Give us just a little more taste.
Little more. I've been at implementation partners. Now I'm at a product partner. Before that, at a couple of different customers of ServiceNow for the past, 6 years, however long Calgary came out.
Oh,
and
wow.
Now focusing 100% of my time on ServiceNow store applications around identity management, governance, administration, things like that.
Awesome. We're delighted to have you here. And I'm Andrew Barnes, also developer advocate here at ServiceNow. 2 years into this role, been working as an implementation partner like Jarod. In fact, we were at the same implementation partner back when, and a couple of customers, and now at ServiceNow. Been doing this for a little over 6 years, and excited to be here with y'all today. Let us introduce our beverages of choice in the same order.
All right. Well, today it is a Guinness Imperial Stout that has been barrel aged. So it's there's a Guinness brewery in Baltimore, apparently. And it was just a random thing I saw at the store and was like, that would make a good Life Code Happy Hour beer.
I think Brad doesn't pick the beers for him. He picks them to make me jealous. What do you have, Jarod?
Well, as you know, I'm not a fan of wine or beer. So I was thinking about Veterans Day this week. And my first base was in Germany. And we drank quite a bit of sparkling Gerolsteiner while in Germany. So happy Veterans Day week to you, Andrew. I know we didn't know each other in the military, but also had some overlap in the U.S. Air Force.
And to you, sir. And I have beer for tacos.
Awesome.
Because
what kind of beer is that?
I don't know, but it said beer for tacos, and I was like, I'm on board. Let's have this. It is it's a Gosa with white lime juice, with lime juice. It's a Gosa, apparently. Yay! I'm excited now. And I'll apparently have tacos too, because you can't have beer for tacos and not have tacos. So
true.
Welcome everybody. This is Live Coding Happy Hour, where we do, unscripted ServiceNow development live here on the show. So this isn't a pre-canned demo. while we have done things previously that we might have some experience with, we're always trying out and showing something new on the show. Um, we have a guest, obviously, today, and he will actually be driving and showing us what he has been working on, and uh, presumably we're going to enhance some today. So why don't you tell us what we're going to do today, Jared?
Yeah. So at Clear Sky, I'm working on our flagship application, but also improving our DevOps process and just trying to standardize some things, things, uh, code reviews, code migration from dev to test to QA, up to the TPP instance to publish to the store, but also to an internal app repo. And so we do have pretty much all of the ServiceNow platform moving parts currently in our DevOps process. And so over time, we will mature that. But for now, we still need to move some update sets between instances. And also all the things that the current DI/CD spoke is good at, like publishing to the app repo and publishing to source control and things like that. So I thought back, once we got to this step, I remembered that about 2.5 years ago, I had kind of reverse engineered a part of the update sets process within the platform, made my own script include, and used it for just a few things a couple of years ago, but never got to the point of publishing it open source. It never made it out to share. It's just kind of just been sitting in the closet since then. So I thought now would be a good time to dust it off, probably wrap it or migrate portions of it into Flow Designer. And then once it's in Flow Designer, we can grab on to any of the IntegrationHub spokes we want to. We can throw an update set up to GitHub, GitLab, Dropbox, whatever. And it doesn't have to be just specifically for CI/CD. It could be we just want to back up our update sets off of our instance once a night out of dev, right? Accidents happened, and we don't want to have to fill out a high ticket just to get back some code. So yeah, it's not specifically for CI/CD, but yeah, we'll be looking at exporting update sets into a XML string file, and then the sky's the limit. We can send that string anywhere.
Wherever we want. So hilariously, you and I have done duplicative work in this area more than once. Because we've both seen a need to do automation around, like you said, backing up update sets. I know both of us have built that before, and moving them between instances. Both of us have done that. I think I've done that like 4 times now. And then
Right.
being able to, just store it anywhere, or just get it in and out, quickly load stuff. I know you did some interesting things with, quickly getting stuff into and out of an instance. So there's all kinds of implications with this. And as you said, eventually our maturity will be such that we'll be able to use source control and not have to rely on update sets. But we're still working through all of that. Enough people have to be on, for example, Paris, to access that for global apps. But we're moving towards that, and any update set automation will help, raise that maturity level for teams, and also help them, sort of get closer to being able to use source control, and use similar actions on those 2 different things. So I'm excited. Is there anything else that we need to cover? I want to cover Brad's shirt because I don't have mine yet. Brad got his Hacktoberfest shirt. So
nice.
October was Hacktoberfest. If you were able to participate, that's awesome. I know we had some pretty great participation in our repos. Brad and I were acting as maintainers for several repositories, and that was a lot of fun. But that doesn't mean you have to stop contributing to open source stuff. So keep finding projects that you want to engage with, and it can be as little as just identifying and replicating bugs for them. Like go to their issue list and validate some bugs, and then say that it's a validated bug, and how you validate it is a thing that can help a developer. So you don't even have to be a developer to contribute to open source development. There's a lot of things around building and deploying applications that aren't specific to a developer actually doing development. So tons of stuff like that that you can participate in. So let us go ahead and screen share and get rolling, because we can do some live coding now.
We are on the clock. All right. So let's take a look at this. So I guess before we get started, we can talk about a couple. I'll give you a quick demo of what we're looking at. I've was part of a larger update set, so I grabbed out the relevant functions to a temporary global app script include. And so just for the conversation today, we'll probably be creating some flows and subflows, maybe some actions. Where do we want to store this? This we see, and if you'd like me to go quick into where I found some of this stuff in the ServiceNow instance, we can take a little tangent there. Otherwise, we can jump right in. But
no, I think we can jump right in.
But the point is, it has to be in global, because we are looking at some packages, some stream things, some glide record XML serializer, and just a variety of things like that. So do we want to just do this in a regular update set? Do we want to make a global scope and put the script include into Studio and all of our flow things into that global scope?
I vote for global scope app. Brad?
I do think it will make it more smooth for us if we do a globally scoped app.
And
because then we can take advantage of source control automation.
Perfect. Yep. And just for the audience, everything that we're doing here today, I do plan on open sourcing and publishing out on Share. It will have a related GitHub repo where we can improve upon it. As we can see, this is just code I haven't touched since 2018. I have a lot of, I guess, higher standards at this point, where I'd want to return an object and not just a glide record in one case and a string in a different case. But let's talk at the high level architecture first, and then we can refactor things if there's time. So
awesome.
You're brave. When I go back and look at older code, I'm always ashamed of myself. And I don't know that I would do it live on air.
We're always looking at our old code, Brad.
Yeah.
So one thing to note is there is a system property. So when you created this app, you chose the global option, and that is only available if you've set a property in your instance, which a quick Google search can return you. And we'll put in the description below in the YouTube video for later. But there is a property that controls whether or not that is visible. And by default, it is not.
So naming things is 50% of the development process.
Yeah, I filled plenty of air while you were naming it.
We can migrate, we can rename this later if we have feelings on the subject, but let's jump in.
Yay, we created an app. Now we can open it in Studio.
Excellent. So I will copy, create a new script include.
Why are you creating a new script include?
I've never just
Yeah,
migrated.
you can pull this in. Yeah, so
Claim it.
Great.
in Studio you claim it.
Great. All right. I came here to talk, but I'm
So
learning.
file, and add existing files. And you can do this from an update set or individual files. So if
Very
you
nice.
already had an update set that it was bundled into, you can just pick it from there.
I don't.
Okay. So then you do search by.
Okay. Excellent.
There you go. Now that file, that app file is associated and visible in Studio and would ship with this as you publish it to source control or wherever you're moving it.
Excellent. So that works for anything that's in global that's unattached, or could I pull it from one global scope to another global scope?
You can pull it from one global scope to another global scope. And so that is part of the Paris features is a claiming process so that it's always deterministic on which item update for a global scoped app is the right one. So that's on developer.servicenow.com blog.
How about updates at pack?
Updates at pack. I love it.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a script include that doesn't have the word utility in it. I'm on board.
Helper.
Utils.
skill. Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm assuming that we will want this to be accessible across all application scopes.
Potentially.
So I'm getting on board with the Flow Designer Integration Hub crowd. I haven't been thinking flow first for very long, and so that's what I was hoping to get some advice on today.
Well, fortunately, you've got two of the flow. I was going to say flow kings, but that just doesn't roll off the tongue very well. But
Yeah,
we are definitely flow
can go
flow
flat
friendly
advocate.
here. Oh yeah, we're
Flat advocate.
Yeah.
Upside out Andrew, coined that term, and we can use it.
I'm a fan.
We count.
So I'll go over the high level thoughts would be, in a flow, we'll have two different, I don't know how the flows and subflows will act, but we will have one thing to export, where we would say go through all the complete update sets or go through all the in-process update sets, or maybe just anything that's not ignore, and put it into a text file and push it out to GitHub.
Okay.
And
so are you looking to make an action out of your script include, or multiple actions out of your script include?
Yeah, that's some of the secret sauce today. So let's call. Do we want to start with this? I think the just routine backup update set use case is easier to talk about.
Let's do that one. And I will suggest actually, I'm going to suggest it. Let's start from a subflow. So
I was going to say something if you didn't.
We'll build our logic for what we're going to do in our subflow, and then we'll build our flow to trigger it potentially, or it could be other things. But if it's in a subflow, that allows us to invoke it from pretty much anywhere, with inputs and outputs.
So the subflow will assume is executing once per update set, or
that's a design decision.
So I may have missed this. The problem we're solving now is running through all of the active update sets and exporting them.
Yeah, let's
Right. And
do a
and so
quick,
your subflow could potentially do that part, or it could just do one. And your flow actually like calls the subflow multiple times. So it's whether or not we want it to be a individual thing, backup one or backup all. And if we want to the functionality to back up one or two or three update sets versus all of them, then we probably want the subflow to handle just one at a time and pass it which one I want it to do.
yes. So if we're doing this in pure code, we would look something like this, where we would have our local update set.
Okay.
So we're going to export that update set, which just like the UI action takes a local update set, copies it over to a retrieved update set. And then the next step is to get the text from that update set. And that's really where the secret sauce in the script include lies. It's getting the right order of all those different XML streaming commands to line up so that what comes out on the other side is readable and importable. So let's look at this quick example. Again, executing in global. The things we're doing won't work in scope. But on the other side, we have a string that is our update set.
Okay.
And then so this ball of text is what we want to pass off to IntegrationHub and have it
Do something with it.
Again, sky's the limit. We don't have to go down that path. But in code, this is what we're doing. So the equivalent inside of our subflow, I think we could probably just copy and paste this into a script inside the subflow, but that's not very elegant and would be hard to troubleshoot later on.
Yeah, that calls for that. I mean, this process, which what we're seeing here in Flowland, is an action. So this is take as an input which update set I want to do something to, and the output is a string that is the XML of my update set.
Excellent. And would we leave all this in our script include and just call it from our action, or would we copy and paste the code here into our action and have the action standalone and not need the script include?
Since you already have the script include, I would just call the script include. Yeah, I wouldn't refactor it into, like get record queries and things like that in, because it's already done. Like,
Yeah, I think if you're doing this from scratch, you might consider like doing it natively within an action, but maybe to do it in a script include
but
still.
Mostly, yeah, being familiar with what's in that script include, I'll say it's still going to need to be script, and then therefore it can just live in a script include, and I'll just call it from my action. Because I'll never be able to abstract out enough of that to make it a visually understandable outside of script in Flow Designer. Like it's going to be a script box, and so it might as well be in a script include.
And the nice thing about if you were to do this in an action where you put in an update set ID and then you get back the text from the XML, I mean, you can call that from a script too. So that would be a way that, you can front end your script include.
Mm-hmm. So you want to create a script step, yeah. And have you set an input to your action yet? I don't think you did. So let's go ahead and do that. So you'll need to collapse the right-hand pane so you get the add inputs. There you go.
All right. So right now we as it's written without any refactoring, we are expecting a glide record of the local update set.
Okay, so so that is a reference field then essentially. So it's a reference of local update set. And let's see if it'll even let us pick that, which probably won't. No.
Yeah.
We might have to pass in a sysid instead.
So there's two ways to solve this. I don't care which one we do. So you could just pass in a sysid and then we can go get the glide record object, or we can set this to something here in Flow, and then we can go to the table and change it.
All right. That sounds like fun. I'll probably experiment with that offline later on. Let's go with the sysid option.
Okay.
And I'm assuming mandatory and
mandatory seems reasonable. Now, do you actually pass it? Do you pass your script to include the whole glide record or just the sysid?
So, yeah, and right now there's not a single, the way it's factored, there's not a single function being called. First, we trigger the local to retrieve the update set, then we get the update set, the text from there. So yeah, the start of it is a record. Yeah, we're passing
Okay.
passing
So
it in.
so we'll need to instantiate the glide record in our interaction. Okay.
So local, instead of typing update set constantly, I'll just start calling them set.
And you can give it a default value there if you have a sysid of an update set that you want to test with, then we don't have to copy one and test it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's call this Libra Toolkit, which is another thing that I've published recently out on ServiceNow Share. It's got some fun features for your local development instance. So prior to publishing, we'll come in here and blank that out, but we'll use that for today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like doing that for my testing, is just have a default value and then strip it out later once I'm done building the thing.
I piped in with that because Andrew always reminds me to do it whenever we're doing something like this. I stole it from him. That's his thing.
I like to make my life as a developer easier, which is why I automated the update set moving so many times.
So the few times I've done this in the past, I've just come in here and converted that input variable to a input variable on the script step.
That is correct.
Keep
And
me
then
honest.
here, yep. And then in here, you'll do inputs dot that name you set. So local set ID. Once you want to access that, which will probably be the first thing we do, which is turn that into a glide record object. Yeah. So using our little shortcut to get a glide record object really quickly. I like it.
Well, and yeah, you notice I did try to do var gr tab, and it,
Yeah.
I did notice that
over in here. I'm a fan. We're adding that and some of the ESLint features of the built-in script editors. So I was just checking to see if those are enforced over on this side.
So I can tell you that there will be only one script box eventually, and it may appear to look a little different in different sizes and formats, but they'll all work the same. So that is coming to a Flow script editor box near you in the future.
Yeah.
My most used feature though is the Shift Tab alignment.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
feature. So I'm glad to see that
I love that one.
enabled here today.
Yeah.
So I'll take what I did over in Explore and just
Okay.
do that. So now we have this, which I'm guessing will turn into an output.
hmm Now, is there anything that you want to do? So I think that that is a good enough for a singular action, but there is potential to, if you wanted to do another parsing of that before you pass it along for consumption for the next step. I don't think that's the case here, but that is something that we can do. So yeah, outputs, nice, looking good. It's a string, and now we just need to set the actions outputs to be from our script step output. And so this should be a friendly name for a user. Yeah.
And then setting things mandatory on output. What are you, is that it?
I don't think it does anything
Yeah.
for me.
Okay.
So if you hit exit edit mode, you'll be able to drop the data pill in there now. And I believe we're at a savable and testable state.
Yeah.
Saved, tested. Completed. And our
And
runtime
we have an
value.
output.
All right.
Let's click it. That looks like what we were going for.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to call that a win.
So that's our action. So now we can decide how we want to consume that action. So if the first thing we want to do is, do you want to do back up all of our let's solve a use case, which is back up all of my update sets. So that should mean that I need to get a string for a bunch of them. When you're doing that, do you string all of them together, or do you act on them independently?
So
Mm.
my first thought is they would be independent. To include the subflow being just a single update set. That way, in the future, if I wanted to just throw a single update set out to GitHub, I could trigger that through a UI action or some individual process. And then if I wanted to export all of them, then I could run that in a flow and loop through that subflow for each one.
Okay. So we probably need to build the send it somewhere part, right?
Yes.
Because we can get our string and our flow, but then we got to move to the next step, which is create.
So for today, do we want to just create a pretend GitHub or faux GitHub?
I mean,
upload.
Why don't you just install the GitHub spoke and do a real GitHub?
I can do that. Is that something I need to go into high-end request, or is that a local plugin?
It's a store plugin, but you should be able to install it right from your instance. So if you go to plugins, but the app manager, yeah, plugins is just plugins.
Yeah.
Which will get you the app manager. There's a better module name for it, but I just go to plugins because, all of us have been doing this a while. We're used to going to plugins.
So I think we'll have to do the GitHub upload for each update set, right? Because there's no way to like loop through and return
So yeah,
them all.
install that. There's no way to loop through and return them all.
Right. When we loop through, we have to do something in that
Yeah.
iteration.
So inside of the loop, we would have to send the string we have right then to GitHub. So while that's going on, let's go ahead and let's do our logic for that looping.
In the top level flow?
In the subflow,
Okay.
we'll accept a string, a array of sysids, right? And then we will, for each of those, we'll do a lookup that get local update, and then we'll push them to GitHub.
All right, so let's see if we can find our update set package spoke, get local update set. All right, that will be there when we need it.
So do we want to apply some looping logic to that first?
Yes.
So we want to do a like
lookup.
So do we want to pass this flow records? Like we could just pass the sysids and then loop over the sysids. So we pass it from the inputs, the array of sysids, right? Is that what you were thinking, Brad? I saw you had a thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could just loop through update sets from here. Maybe you could pass like what your parameters are for your loop, but yeah, I mean, it's whatever.
Let's loop through the updates. Let's solve this subflow does all.
Yeah.
Let's do this subflow does all the closed ones or all the open ones or something, some query.
I was envisioning like we kick this off from like, maybe there's a UI action somewhere where it's like,
Right.
Hey, I want to push all this stuff now. Maybe we trigger it once a day also. And so we trigger this subflow from multiple places.
So yeah, let's do a lookup records, and then we'll probably run into, it won't let us have the update set table here. That's what I'm guessing. So we're going to need to script that. Let's script it. So use the FX and set the table to the table. Return our local update set table name.
I mean, the fact that that is available is nice.
You know, it would have probably taken me a minute to figure that one out. So
and hit the collapse, not the FX.
That's right. Needed to still be green on the other side.
Yeah, you need it to be green or it won't execute. And then we'll have to script the conditions because it can't build a condition builder off of a scripted. And so we want to do like state is complete. Let's just start from that.
I'm in a sandbox.
Narrowing it down. I love it.
Yep, I am in a sandbox, and so one other thing I'm not sure how compatible this is with update set batches at the moment. So that's another consideration.
To filter out parent is empty. Yeah.
So I'll grab that real quick. Looks like pretty harmless stuff in here.
So Jarod, being of sound body and mind, does what I do, which is goes to a list view, builds the query he wants, makes sure it has the results he wants, Then he puts it in script and abstracts it if he needs afterwards.
And I would order
Pro tip.
by, but
Pro
I
tip right there.
don't want to script that one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that'll get us a bunch of records.
And
Nice
Dev,
limiting.
do you limit that? Usually I've been doing a quick list, lowering this down while I'm.
Yeah, I like lowering things down for testing. Absolutely. You can make it 2 just to show that it does, the looping. So now we need under lookup records. We need to add the flow logic. So we need to drag this up or that one down. Yep. There you go. Boop. And we need to give the for each the data pill.
Yep.
From step 1. So step 2 needs a data pill.
Yes. Records.
Yep. Hit save.
There. Now it's not grayed out anymore. Nope. I guess I can get it that way. This was a bit grayed out.
Yeah, I
You
think
should hit
it wants you
save,
to
though.
save.
True.
I'm getting nervous.
This is the nuances of that you veteran advocates know.
Yeah. Is especially when you move them around, it gets a little confused. So now we're going to get the individual record, which will be the SysID of those records. It doesn't want to let you pick it, but use the cannonball.
Because we scripted it, maybe.
Oh, because it's a GUI, but it doesn't know that's a GUI.
Yeah.
So we need to tell it that that's a GUI, or just change your input. Just change your input on the get local update action. So up in the tab there. So you specified that it's a SysID, but we don't. It could just be a string. There's a way to tell it that it's a SysID on the other one with the function transforms, but we're not here for that today.
Nope, this is a proof of concept V1, and
so now you should be able to potentially hit save.
Yeah. You may need to do a save and a refresh.
It should refresh it here now that it's. We'll accept. Uncheck the FX and try the cannonball. No. Okay. Close Flow Designer and relaunch it. Oh, did you publish the other one?
I published the action. I haven't published.
Okay. Yeah. So just close Flow Designer and relaunch it. That should solve it.
All right. So it looks like our GitHub is 100% complete. Allegedly.
It says it is.
When the bar gets to this point, that means 100. All right.
Our scale is 105, so it's no big deal.
That is just like Flow Designer to give 110%. That's something Dave probably added after getting over there.
No.
I just wonder if since we scripted the table, maybe Flow Designer can't actually grab the values from the table fields.
Potentially. Yeah, because this looks happy.
Right, because
Okay.
it looks like that record is just like it doesn't know what's associated with the record.
So maybe if we
Yeah.
hit test and see what happens, see what step one is coming.
Well, I
That's a
think
great
it'll
idea.
work. It just, yeah. Bad request.
Bad request.
All right. Maybe it
Fair.
doesn't accept the table name, but instead accepts the table's sys-ID for the scripted table field. So under lookup records, the scripted table, maybe it accepts the sys-ID and not the table name and the FX for table.
Hmm.
So back to the sysdb object.
Yep.
SysID.
Having never used a script step on a lookup records, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I have
don't
not
know.
either. I'm wondering if that's like a
Even
thing that doesn't actually
supported,
work.
but it shouldn't be there if it's not supported.
Ooh.
Is my vote. Okay. Still grayed out. Counts available. That's not helpful, but so flow designer's not broken. It's just not happy with that.
Can
So,
we even run a test just without trying to use the lookup records? Just see what it returns.
Yeah, let's put that default.
What test do you want to run, Brad? Oh,
I want to test the
got it.
flow and see what
Got it.
happens. See what shows up in the.
Yeah, I think it's gonna throw an error on our. Well, you didn't hit save.
Oh, I need save and then test.
Yeah, I don't. My belief is it doesn't actually. Non-existent table. All right. Well, we'll try it with the other thing. Did it actually perform your action though? Oh well, it threw an error, so it won't do anything else.
In step one.
Yeah. So let's give it the table name, I guess, which you politely kept in there and just commented.
That's
Had a hunch.
It's so nice. It's so nice to be with people who have done things before. I've been
Sounds
down
like
this
a
road
dig.
before.
Okay, it looks like it found 3 records. Found
It
3.
found 3
real-
records. It just doesn't want to pass them into the.
Yeah, and here it's just using that test hard-coded.
Tell you
one,
what,
so-
just add in any other action and see if you can get the inputs from record for that. And rule out whether it's your action or do like update record or something
create or update.
and try and pass it in. The for
Maybe
each.
now, I think I wanted just update.
Yeah.
All right. Does not want that one either.
So it works. It just doesn't want to use the data pills. All right. Well then. Hey, you want to be sneaky?
Let's do it.
So in your lookup records, unscript it. So pick any old table. Don't care which one.
So we've been talking about CSDM, foundational data, a lot lately. So I'm going to go over to good old common location.
And so now you should have a data pill that you can drag into your for each. You're going to have to, oh, it that's why. It won't. It's going to remove that when you change the table name to be scripted. The data pill will go away. So no, we can't cheat it. We can't cheat death. So that means we need to do this in our. We need to do this either super hacky or in an action.
Yeah, I think we probably want to do it in an action.
So,
And
so are we getting a little look behind the scenes of why this might not have been just built in out of the box?
Well, the reason it's so Flow Designer is not meant to be a tool to do platform itself automation. It's meant to do automation on the platform, but it's not meant to automate the platform itself. And so a lot of system tables are not available to you here in Flow Designer because that's not the general audience for what it's for. We as developers like to make it, do what we want it to do, but the intent behind it wasn't for that.
And for the stuff that it does do automating the platform, like our CI/CD spoke and those types of things, that's all in IntegrationHub spokes and actions and subflows.
Yep. And they're just calling APIs that are so the publish to repository spoke is really just calling an API on your instance. So we need to make an action there.
So one other thing
but we're running up on time.
It's true.
So what were you going to say, sir?
I was going to say the other part of troubleshooting it was maybe do the looping in the flow and then pass the loop,
the string into the action. Yeah.
Have the
kind of how I was saying to do that to the subflow, but instead moving that down to the action.
Right.
So have the action accept a string or an array of sysids. Yeah, absolutely. That is the solution, I think.
Yes.
So hit cancel here.
So it's your
and go to your action, and let's do that because we can do that pretty quickly. So in your inputs, no, it's already a string, so that part's fine. In our script step, we just need to break it into an array and loop through it.
So how are you going to pass an
array of strings of sysids?
How are you going to get the array of sysids?
Oh, yeah, that needs. You're right. I need the script step to do that.
Yeah, you just need to tell the action hey, I want you to loop through the flows. Maybe the action input could, I don't know. Yeah.
We could script the action input.
Yeah, but you need to do that all in the action since you can't do the lookup records from the flow or subflow.
Yeah.
We do have a comment that says you can add the glide UI permitted tables options in sys properties. So you can go in and manipulate. I believe that was going to be the hacky option. We could go in and change some of the properties so that those tables do show up in Flow Designer, but that's not, especially if this is something that Jarod's going to put out on share that we can distribute. That's not something you're going to want every customer to go in and change the properties on their tables.
I think that would ship fine though. Actually, now that I think about it, I think it ships fine. You don't ship the property. Once it has the table in the flow or subflow or action.
So
it's consumable.
Property, the property would just
it controls the filtered list, but you don't care about that because you're not
the value's already there.
The value's there
when you're shipping it. That's interesting. So
yeah, you want to do that real quick? We could do that. And that keeps us from going too off reservation. You want to go set that property, Jared?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've sent it in the Zoom chat.
So shout out to the Whitespace UI16 fix when I just right click on the bar here and go directly to properties.
That's a good thing to include.
Yeah, at the end, Andrew, I'd like to show you the filtering of the top application drop-down list. If
Oh,
there's
that'd be fun. Yeah.
a time to.
I'm willing to go a little over for fun.
All right. So again.
And you should probably just go ahead and throw in the remote table one too. The remote update set table while you're in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because why not? I'm here already. They're closely related friends. And then you're definitely going to need a Flow Designer to do a full reload. So you're going to just have to close Flow Designer.
I think you could just refresh, but I'm not going to argue with Andrew if he tells you to close the tab. I think we've established that I need to listen to him on the show.
All right, we'll load back our subflow. So this update set is now present.
There you go.
Thank you to our YouTube comments.
Yeah, so I think the thing to check on this will be if you do like export this flow and import it into an instance that doesn't have that property set, does it work? Which I think it probably will, but I'm not 100% convinced.
The YouTube comments are what really makes us want to do this show live because y'all are the best. So thank you for helping us because it makes us even more fun.
All right.
And helpful. Hey, look, we can pick data pills. It's the best.
All right. So just personal preference, would you go down and grab SysID or would you drag it?
I grab
Yes,
SysID because I like to make it very clear what I'm sending over.
And then here, is there any glide element business we need to worry about? Do it into a string or just call it good?
You're good.
All right. All right, looks like we have XML for step 1.
All right, is that XML different? Yeah.
Slightly, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have 1 second
All right.
different between them.
I feel like this is the smell of victory. So we've got the string now.
I think so.
So at least let's stub in our GitHub action. It's not going to work because we haven't set up credentials. But
let's see what's available, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have not obviously activated this plugin or played with it yet. So create or update a
Yep.
file.
So we're going to create or
file.
update a file. Yep.
Yeah.
That is exactly what we're going to want to do. So potentially what you're going to want to do is like look up a repo or something. But for this purpose, we're going to assume you know all these things.
And so into path, we could And we might want to return, well, actually, no.
We'd want to get data from the update set and like use that as part of the path name,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
We could even use like the scope as part of the path.
So let's go back in there and do application
Makes sense.
name.
Oh, only let you have one. It looked like.
I think that
Unless
was
it scrolled it. Oh, cool. It
there.
does.
It is.
Nice.
And I'll just say plus. And the content will be our XML string.
Yep. And
Author info. Yeah, we could
yeah.
populate
So
that.
so that looks like pretty awesome. Like once we set up our credentials, we'd be done in just a couple more minutes from that. So this is looking pretty great. But
Hey,
we don't
thanks
want
for
to
help.
we don't want to do credentialing because we're 1 minute over, and credentialing takes more than 1 minute overing time.
Exactly.
We've done whole shows on getting GitHub credentialing done correctly. Though with the spoke, it is actually quite a bit easier. So when you do go to set this up, Jarod, there, in fact, give us go back to the home tab in Flow Designer. And I can't remember. Oh, you're on Orlando.
I am on Orlando. Yes, that's the only limitation.
That's
Just
fine.
in case we needed that JSON parse step, we were going to be missing it.
Yeah, it's fine. You're on Orlando. One of the things that we added in Paris is a connection area here in Flow Designer. You can still go to the platform tables for it to set it up, but we brought it and made it a better user experience in Flow Designer to manage those credential records. But what you'll notice when you do go look to set up this spoke for GitHub is it's already created you a connection and credential alias that you just go and put in the couple of details that are unique for you. And everything else is auto populated for you already. So it took me about 10 minutes to set this up. Didn't I do this like the day of CreatorCon, Brad?
I think you did
that
a
was
bunch
that
of
day.
stuff that morning. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this GitHub spoke was one of those things, and the setting up the credentials for OAuth for that was actually pretty fast. I was surprised. I was worried. Cool. So what we saw was Jarod had a script include, and you can go ahead. Oh, before I give us the summary, show us the little utility you built for limiting the applications in the picker.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is now part of my standard kit. Like most of us that have been on the products for a while, we have our little things that we add into our dev instances. Mine is always the Explore toolkit. Now also the Chrome add-on, SN Utils.
So what I'm surprised is you built this, but haven't turned on the Chrome Utils search filtering for your update set picker. Do you know that that's a thing? Go back to your config settings for the SN Utils. There's a little checkbox, enhance application and update set picker page load.
Take a look. Yeah, also notice a brand new feature on that, the SB overlap on the instance icon. That's the newest feature of SN Utils, where you can give it colors and letters. And if you have specifically ServiceNow instances that you don't control, this helps you keep them straight up in your tab. All right.
That is a really nice feature.
Very nice.
A search box.
Yep.
Very nice. So that is very handy for instances that you do not control and that you would like to keep 100% of these available to you at any time. But
Right.
typically when I'm in there, I'm only using 2 or 3 or 4 scopes at any given time. So
Mhm.
what I published out on Share is a feature
On
that
developer.servicenow.com.
exactly Share
Ding.
V2. By default, there is also 100 applications on the left bar that I don't need in my daily operations. So what I've compiled into a thing I call Libra Toolkit is you're able to configure your left bar visibility and say, what do I not want to see? What do I want to be left with? And then I can toggle that and it just redirects to a UI page, runs some code and redirects back. And we see that the left bar refreshed. And now I only have about 20 applications in my left bar. Similarly, up on the top, we can do a scope minimize. We can say, which ones do I want to keep in my list? It looks like we added a new GitHub spoke, which I'll leave that in there. So let's save that and then toggle that. And this one runs the same UI refresh in the background, but the one at the top is a little buggy, so I'm going to refresh the whole tab. And now we are limited to only the things that we care about. And so
That's pretty schwanky.
because what I hate is accidentally clicking into the Active Directory app or any other app that you never use. It will create a default update set for you to look at for all the time. So, yep. So the current version published in Share on the developer site includes the left bar minimize. The next update, just got this working last week, includes the scope minimize. And that is a scoped app with a global helper because obviously these are pretty powerful behind the scenes before query business rules that are powering these tools and have that. So
that is really cool, Jared. I'm going to have to go install it now on like 50 instances.
Yep. Yep. Anything else while I still have a browser window open?
No, I'm good, Brad.
Not for me.
That was too much fun. Thanks for sharing all that, Jared. I'm excited to continue with that. That looks like a lot of fun, and being able to, set up a scheduled job that backs up my update sets to GitHub, and it all be running in flow. It's pretty nice because when I built that, it was all purely just scripting and wasn't very consumable for anyone else to come by and look at or update or adjust it or consume it themselves. So I pretty much kept those kinds of things to myself because it wasn't very shareable format. So you've clearly added some polish to some of your things. I really am going to install that the application limiter because the SN utils to do the search is pretty great. But also, I don't need like more than half of those on my instances,
especially with all the components.
Yep, I'm thinking of adding that as a feature to just always filter out those component ones because I never need to be in their scope.
That's true.
Because I work on those not even in the platform. They just get uploaded. So I've never used the app picker to pick those. So we took a script include that you had built a couple of years ago to do some update set stuff. And then we went into Flow Designer and we created an action that consumed some of those scripts, and we would create other actions that implemented some of those other functions. And then we used a subflow to send that action some data, and we installed and started to configure the GitHub spoke, which I I love that you can now install those directly from inside your instance. That's a huge feature as of Orlando that just makes me so happy. I don't have to go to the store to install those spokes. That's so nice. And almost got it fully going. If we had thought about it ahead of time, we'd have got that spoke installed and gotten some credentials set up, and we would have actually been able to do that because we were right there. Um, ton ton of useful work right there. If you're interested in doing CI/CD stuff, take a look at the. This is for anyone out there watching. Take a look at the Orlando or Paris CI/CD APIs or the spokes. So there's some subflows and actions in Flow Designer that you can build your automation from for uh, retrieving from source control, switching branches, um, committing to the app repo, so publishing, installing from the app repo, and like one or two other things. So there's some powerful APIs there to do source control and app repo automation. And we could tie all that together in some flows with what Jarod just showed and get our full pipeline of updates at source control and app repo all working together for a developer. And that's a nice holistic collection because I I don't know about you, Jarod, but I have to use all three of those things.
Exactly. It's update sets, especially for customers who are still enhancing ITSM and all the other things that live in global. They're not out of update sets yet.
Yeah, and I think we've answered most of the questions, but the last question from Phil is, so moving to GitHub was just one of the actions that Jarod's script include does. One of the other ones is consume that from, so being able to move it to another instance, not just to GitHub or to something like sending an email.
Exactly. Inside that script include, we have functions to load from a ball of text, load from a attachment on the attachment table, and then preview and also commit. So that's going to be a cool episode, or whatever part two of this.
And what I would do with that for me is I would turn those into scripted REST API endpoints. And in fact, I might turn your whole script include into a scripted REST API endpoint. And then that's how I would build out the rest of the actions, is just invoking those endpoints.
So it's kind of the same architecture as the other CI/CD things.
Yeah. Right. That's why it popped in my head. I was like, well, that's how we did it for that one. We could do it that same way for all of these. It's just calling the API on the instance, and your API is back from a script include, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, and that's
too cool.
And that whole API could live in scope, except for just these few commands that are living in this script include we looked at.
Right. So let us rate our beverages and wrap up, because we have gone way over time. Brad, how was your special Guinness?
My Guinness Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels was pretty good. I give it 4.25. It was a solid barrel aged stout.
4.25. How was your tasty German water?
German sparkling mineral Wasser. I'm gonna. It's water, so I don't think
it's
I
water.
can give
it's
it
a
4 or
5.
Like... it's plenty of calcium and minerals in there. So yeah, I'll call it a solid 4.
Nice. And my beer for tacos, which I still have some of, so I can have it with tacos, is good. Gosa. Like, it's nice. It's a 4. It's solid. I like it.
What kind of tacos are you feeling right now?
Well, not turkey. because I ate all the turkey. The
Nice.
turkey's gone. So I did a
Awesome.
practice smoke run. So I've never smoked a turkey before, and I wanted to do it for Thanksgiving this year, but you can't do that as a
Oh.
first timer
No,
on
that's production.
Thanksgiving. So I tested it, and apparently the test went well because there's no evidence left. It's done, and I cooked it on like Monday, didn't I? No, Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah,
Like
Tuesday,
it
maybe?
wasn't even the weekend, and it's gone. Whole bird's gone, every bit of it. So that turned out really well. So yeah, it'll probably be hamburger. So beef tacos. Thanks out there in YouTube land watching us live. Appreciate y'all joining us, and anyone watching this later. Thank you for joining us, Jarod. Big thanks to you for sharing your contributions. You are one of our most prolific share contributors, and I appreciate you for that. And with that, I will say happy weekend, everybody. See you next time.
All right.